All right, guys, have you been wondering what's going on with Florida insurance? Well, I know I have been, and we recently had a special session here in Florida. So I'm sitting here with special guest, Brook Dolison with Blue Circle Insurance,
Thank
located
you.
in Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah.
And we've got some questions for Brooke that hopefully will help answer your questions as well. So stay tuned for today's video. Brooke, I have 4 questions for you that hopefully the public's going to want to know. I know I want to know as a homeowner or an investor, anybody else entering into the market. They want to know what their costs are. So number one, let's start here. How did we get here?
Number one reason we're here is the litigation costs.
Mm-hmm.
So 9% of the U.S.'s claims, property insurance claims come from Florida. 79% of the lawsuits related to property insurance claims come from Florida. It's a big disparity.
And what is that mainly from, like hurricanes and other things, or
Hurricanes, we just recently passed, and we'll get to that here soon, but there was a 2-year time limit on when people could file claims. So we still have people filing claims. They're saying it's from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when it actually occurred.
And let's be honest, like if there's a claim from 2 years ago, don't you have enough time to isn't that a long time to get a claim in and process a claim if you already know there's a problem?
Yeah, common sense tells you should
Right.
know right away.
Okay.
So that's where you have the people knocking on doors, people are offering free roofs, that roofing scam that's been going
Right.
around for a couple of years now.
Get into that a little bit more, because we've come across that a couple times, not a lot, but we've come across it. And when someone's trying to sell their property, this can really become an issue. So what was the scam and how did that really affect where we are today?
So it originated, I initially heard about it from some clients. I thought it was just a one-off thing. I was like, that's weird.
That's strange.
No, just ignore that. And then you just
ignore that.
Calls kept coming in.
Yeah.
So the reason it occurred was the assignment of benefits.
Okay.
Essentially, you'd have a roofer or somebody knocking on your door, not just on your door, they would canvass the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd be knocking on the door saying, hey, would you like a free roof?
Right.
Literally, that's the phrasing they would use.
Well, who doesn't want, and who's not going to be like,
right,
I'm interested.
And the insurance companies don't usually have the best PR, so they're like, well, if I can get a free roof out of it, sure.
Right.
No, there's not a lot of warm feelings towards insurance companies. And so I shouldn't say anyone, but a lot of people, they saw that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really think of the consequences. They just thought, well, sure, like if this person seems to be an expert, if they say that I can get a free roof, what's the harm? We'll see what happens.
Right. And so because of that, there have been a series of litigations, right? So because the cost of litigation and dragging out a litigation and paying for attorney's fees has been baked into the cost of insurance across the board. Is that pretty much in a nutshell?
Yeah, what was happening, basically the attorneys could file a lawsuit against the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
If they lost the lawsuit, if the insurance company came out to be the victor or the winner, there was no repercussions for either the insured or the attorney.
Okay.
There was no losses.
There's like a win-win for them.
Right.
That's
So
crazy.
they either, and then also a really important detail, which has now changed, was if they say they offered somebody $20,000 for the roof, and during that lawsuit they said they made it $20,001.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance company now had to pay the attorney's cost.
Oh.
Even if it went $1 above the original settlement.
Wow. So the change in the assignment of benefits, the AOB that you were talking about, where does that come into play?
Because that's going away.
Elaborate a little bit about what you mean by that, first of all, because I don't know that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. This is your insurance lingo that not everybody knows.
Yeah, so assignment of benefits, basically what it is, it's that adjuster. Usually it's a public adjuster. They are now taking over the claim. Okay. So they usually phrase it as, we're going to get rid of the headache. You don't have to deal with the insurance company. We're going to take on the claim for you, so you don't have to deal with that.
Which sounds good.
Sounds great, right? However, what that also means is you're now excluded from the process. So that's the other side of it is, so they can then go to the insurance company and say, you offered us $30,000 for the roof. We think it's worth $50,000. And that's also how they get paid. So that's the one
cost of the material went up, or whatever they want to claim.
Or they're going to look for more, more damage. They tend to inflate the cost of claims. I know a lot of them actually brag about how much they got for somebody's roof.
This is crazy.
It's bad.
It's so bad. And we're all paying for it. All of us, every single person.
They're not all bad. There are times, and I say this as an insurance agent, when I've said you might want to get a public adjuster because, the insurance companies, they do the best they can, but sometimes that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So there are times when it's needed, but it just spiraled out of control.
So that's going away. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how we got here. Okay, so was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. Our state had a special session. Can you tell us what happened there? What transpired? Good, bad?
Yeah, some of what I think are the most important bullet points are they changed the deadline you have to file a claim from 2 years to 1 year. So that
makes sense
big
to
help.
me, doesn't
Helps
it?
prevent fraud. Yeah. Helps prevent fraud.
That's
so you're not saying, remember a year and a half ago when we had that windstorm?
Yeah. Which one was that? I don't remember.
Right, yeah.
So,
it was the
welcome
summer
to Florida, guys.
Right. So I would say that's one of the biggest. The assignment of benefits, as I mentioned, that's going away, starting for new policies as of January 1st,
that's
2023.
Awesome. Because
going away.
Then now the homeowner is going to be more involved in any process, right? And whereas that's kind of an anomaly that a roofing company would just say you don't need to be involved, and to some extent that sounds great, but really it was not in the end.
It sounded great.
It was
until now we are where we are.
Just like if it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah,
right?
it usually is.
It usually is. Okay.
The one-way attorney fees, those are going away. So now they've got some skin in the game. Right?
Gotcha.
That makes sense. The flood insurance, if you are a Citizens policyholder.
Oh, this is big.
This is big. So if you're a Citizens policyholder, if you're in a hazardous flood zone, so A or V, those are your hazardous flood zones. Starting April 1st, you are required for a new policy, you're required to have a flood policy. Starting July 1st for renewals, so July 1st of this coming year, you're required to have a flood policy. Those are for the hazardous flood zones. It gets a little crazier here. Starting
crazy.
It's all going to be March. I don't know why they chose it, but March 1st, 2024, any policy with Citizens, doesn't matter what flood zone you're in, A, V, B, X, pick a letter.
This is only for Citizens, though.
Just for Citizens.
This is not
it's
for
only
the
Citizens.
Private.
Right.
And Citizens is, again, just the state-run policy that we don't want to have, but it's a case of last resort, right? So this is just for Citizens.
Definitely put that in quotations because they have over 1 million
and
customers.
They're not great to work with.
They have 1 million plus, so they're growing.
Yeah.
Any home 600,000 or more is going to need flood insurance. And also, I didn't mention it, it doesn't matter if you have a mortgage or not, you have to get that flood policy. So if you're a snowbird and you've got your second home here and it's a $500,000 home and you're in that zone and you think, well, I'm just going to self-insure and you're with Citizens, unfortunately, no, you're not.
Okay. They will enforce that.
Yep.
Fact. And hopefully, do you know what those costs are going to range? And I mean, if it's not.
The silver lining to that is the more I'll try to make.
We need some silver lining.
We're going to squeeze some positivity out of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So the positive thing about that is the more people that have a flood insurance policy, the more costs that are shared. Right. So, so that's one advantage of it.
Okay.
Right. March 2025, anything over 500,000 with Citizens going to have a flood policy.
Pretty much every house in. Every piece of real estate in Florida is going to be over that anyway.
Yeah, and every year it's just going to go down a little bit. 2026, 400,000, anything 400,000 and above. And then March 1st, 2027, put that on your calendars. If you are with Citizens, you will have a flood policy.
Interesting.
So that's their way of kind of saying, okay, we're taking on all these policies. There's going to be a cost.
Gotcha.
The other thing with, I know that we mentioned was with secondary homes. So if you are a snowbird, you have your second home here, Citizens, we'll be brief by that. There's a glide path where it's going to go up. It's at 12% is the maximum they can increase your rate for this year, 13% next year, so on and so forth. For a secondary home, those restrictions do not apply.
So
they can go up to 50%.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
Basically try not to get Citizens.
Right. And now what's great behind all this is you're going to see more, because of the other things that they put through, the attorney fees, the AOB, those are the things that carriers have been clamoring for.
Right.
That's going to introduce either more private carriers or reintroduce private carriers into the market. They're going to expand their underwriting guidelines because literally there's companies out there, they do not want the business.
Well, okay, speaking of that, and this wasn't on our list, but like we've been hearing so much of like these companies just mass exodusing, right, from the state of Florida. Is that true? What are you seeing like now with this special session? Is
this
that
year,
true? Okay.
Well, this year we had 6. UPC, United Property and Casualty, is they're leaving May 31st. There's a lot of policies with them.
So those people, where are those people going to go? They're going to have to.
I mean, I'm placing
they're going
my
to be calling
own here.
you.
Yeah, they're going to be calling
Blue
me.
Circle Insurance.
Obviously, call me first.
Yes, Brook Dolison.
But they're going to be going. That's kind of the issue we're in, or the problem we're in. So a lot of them are going to Citizens because there's a lot of older homes there. They specialized in like 80s, 90s, 70s homes.
I mean, it's the insurer of last resort for the people that can't get, or they can't find someone like yourself that's a creative, insurer, right? That they can't find.
The one thing people think, because I run into it a lot, is people think that they have to be with, that Citizens has to take them. Not the case. Yeah. Citizens has underwriting guidelines like anyone else. They're usually actually a little more strict in some ways. So just stuff to keep in mind.
Okay, let's end this on a positive.
What do you say?
Let's do it. Okay.
Do.
All right. So what is a positive that we could take away and share with our audience here? Yeah, sorry for talking over you. It's okay.
The special session, it wasn't all geared towards helping the carriers, right? So they want to do something for the people. So a lot of that had to do with claims. So, and I don't have these memorized, so I'll read off my list here, but they reduced the time that insurer has to make a determination of coverage from 90 days to 60 days.
Oh.
Anyone who just went through Hurricane Ian knows some of the pains that I'm going to talk about. I know some of my clients.
Right.
We're helping every agent out there.
So sorry to interrupt you, but
can
you give us an example? Because there's so many people that need a roof, for example. Let's just tackle that, because we actually have a listing that they had an adjuster out, and now it's like hurry up and wait. So in that example, like, just because that's such a hot topic right now, like in that case, so you're saying that they have to make a determination of coverage, meaning replacement from 90 days to 60 days?
So it doesn't mean they have to replace the roof within 90 days. That would be, if that's on here, that would be amazing. That just means they have to determine, do you have coverage or do you not?
Okay.
Right? So, which, I mean, there's still people out there. I have clients that have that issue right now. They're saying,
unfortunately,
still waiting to hear. I'm still waiting to
hear.
hear.
But at least it's reducing the time for everything.
Correct.
And then it could start the process of finding a roofer, right, to have that, or whatever.
Or
whatever the replacement is.
Because there's still people saying, how much am I getting, or do I have coverage? Are you honoring the
Let's just get this going. Let's get the neighborhood looking back to where it was. And, there's still places that just look a big hot mess.
Lee County. I've got clients there, and it's a war zone.
It really is. I mean, there's blue tarps everywhere. There's fences still down, and the people that don't have the means to do it, or they don't want to file it, they can't. They can't do it right away. And so it's just taking for an eternity.
There's a lot of people out there, and I really do sympathize with them. So a lot of people out there. This is, I think, going to speak to them, because what they're hearing, people are rational. They know. This Hurricane Ian was catastrophic. It was devastating. Yeah. We've got 50 billion plus, right?
Yeah.
I think there's over 500,000 claims, right, just from that hurricane. But people, they understand, right? So they understand, I know my damage isn't as bad as my neighbors, right? They understand that. But at the same time, I have these conversations almost daily I understand that. But when are you going to get to me, right? And now this is holding the insurance company more accountable. Okay. Speeding up that timeline.
That's really good.
Because that benefits everyone.
That's an extra 30 days reduced. That's
good.
Yeah.
The amount of time that insurers have to review and acknowledge a claim goes from 2 weeks to 7 days.
Okay.
The amount of time that they have to begin an investigation, 2 weeks to 1 week.
Wow. That's great.
So a lot of things.
And these are now laws, or these are just part of?
Yes. How they enforce these, I do not know. It just happened last weweek. So I will be interested to see how they actually enforce those things.
You may be on hold for like a day.
Well, there's a company I won't say the company's name, but literally their wait time, I had to get out my calculator because it gave it to me in minutes, and it was 24-hour hold time. So,
literally.
Yeah, it was impressive. Yeah.
It's like, okay, I have time to just sit here, and then, God forbid the call gets hung up or something. You're like, no, now?
Right. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well,
so that's a little bit of good news. Is they are holding the insurance companies accountable. How they enforce it, we'll see.
Yeah.
There's more stuff to shake out from that, but yeah, I think it was actually really impactful. We're going to see hopefully the effects, the results of all that stuff that they just passed
coming to
and then,
fruition here.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And having someone like you here, boots on the ground, I mean, you know, you're close to my house. I can drive over here if I have a question,
Yeah.
or literally, not that we would normally just get on the phone, but just to be able to get on the phone, especially like these snowbird people that are not here, they're absentee and they're worried about, you know, getting the process going. I think having someone like you gives people peace of mind.
Yeah, I've been doing it a while. I've had a lot of those conversations. So people
Mhm.
new to Florida, even people that have lived here, some people
Yeah.
don't know how a hurricane deductible works.
I mean, I've never filed a claim. I honestly don't know. I wouldn't know. I would just call the insurance company, I guess. But like, knock on wood, right? Hopefully, I don't need to. But yeah, people don't know unless they actually need it. And
A lot of people did it for the
so,
first time this year. Yep. So
well, thank you so much for
absolutely, yeah.
joining
Thanks for
us.
having me.
Appreciate it. All right, how do the fabulous people of YouTube and social media and all the places get a hold of you?
They can hashtag me. No. You can call me 941-371-6337. Blue Circle Insurance. Google me. Whatever you want to do.
All the stuff. You
Sure.
can call me shaylatwit.com.